Yes, Nana.
Muted others?
Yes. You can
okay.
unmute and speak. Yeah. Go ahead. Nana, you have to unmute yourself.
Om. Om. Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamotim Dvandvatitam Gaganasudrusham Tattvamasyaadilakshyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Shruti Smruti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Chaiva Tato Jayamudirayet. A few points before we start. I don't know whether there are any questions, in which case, after what I want to say, we will start on the question.
Hari Om Nanaji, I had a question.
I will come back to your question.
Okay,
there are a few things I thought I will say. Okay. Now, yesterday, when I was mentioning about Shadangas, I think I was mixed up between the Shadangas and the Shad Darshanas. The Shadangas are the Siksha, that is the knowledge of phonetics, Kalpa, which highlights the way rituals are required to be done, Vyakarana, that is the grammar, Nirukta, that is etymology, regarding the why of some words, what is the origin of those words, how to understand those words, etc. That is the etymology. That is the Niruktam. Then Chandas, meter. Then the Jyotisha. These are the six. Siksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Chandas and Jyotisha. These are the Shadangas for the Vedas. Okay, these are not philosophies. These are the auxiliary portions of the Vedas. Whereas the Shad Darshanas are, Brahmara was asking, Nana, I learned that, the Mimamsa was part of this. It was not part of the Shadangas. It is certainly part of the Shad Darshanas, of which Brahmara is right. The Shad Darshanas are Sankhya by Kapila, Yoga by Patanjali, Nyaya by Gautama, Vaisheshika by Kannada, Mimamsa by Jaimini, and Vedanta Sutras, that is the Brahma Sutras by Bhagavan Vyasa. Now, Nyaya is by Gautama, Vaisheshika is by Kannada. I understand this Kannada was a great rishi much before the advent of Buddhism, and he apparently lived not in Karnataka but in Gujarat. That is one thing I thought I will clarify. If I have misdirected you yesterday, I apologize. And this is what I picked up when I was browsing through the text. There is one good text by Bhavan's publications. That is a compilation of the sayings of the Kanchi Paramacharya, Chandrasekharendra Saraswati. And he lived for about 103 years. And he called it a day about maybe 2 decades back. Whatever he said, that was compiled, and that is in a book form. The title of the book is Vedas. That I happened to read quite some time back. The contents of that are very, 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 very illustrative and very meaningful. If you get hold of that book, it is a book well worth reading, right from page 1 to the end of the text. Now, another point I thought I will make, I think yesterday Sumaji, I think, was asking whether Max Muller, he visited India. I said yes. Apparently, I am wrong. I was browsing through the web pages today just to find out whether what I said was right. I was wrong. I believe he never visited India, but he was a professor. He was born in Germany, East Germany, maybe near Munich, that is Munich, and migrated to England when he was 25. And he was the professor of Sanskrit at the Oxford University chair. He happened to translate Rigveda into English, I believe, and tried to popularize Rigveda in all over Europe. He also apparently translated the Manusmriti, and he has written a book on India. The one para which I extracted from that book, what it reads is, these are the Max Muller's words. If I were to look over the whole world for the country most richly endowed with all the wealth, power, and beauty that nature can bestow, in some parts a very paradise on earth, I should point to India. He was born in 1823, I believe, lived up to the age of some 70 odd years. 1900 he passed away, Max Muller. And he, I believe, opined that if at all there is any other Janma, he would like to be born in India. And he has popularized the Indian scriptures to a very great extent, I believe. And he was a proponent of the greatness of India at that time. Yeah. Somebody was having a question.
Yeah, Hari Om Nanaji.
Hari Om.
Yeah, Nanaji, as I understood yesterday, that moksha, that moksha can be understood by knowledge only. So does it mean that we don't need to do nitya karma?
No. Those things will be answered as we read between Brahmana and myself. As we read these pages, you will get the answer for your question, madam.
Okay, thank you.
Tarry a while, you will get the answer.
Okay, Nanaji.
Yeah. Brahmana?
Yes, Nana.
Yeah, but shall I start, or you will start and leave it to me a little later?
Yeah, I will start, Nana.
Okay. And wait a minute. And I'm grateful to Dr. Renu. She had texted me giving a chart of, the Vedas, Vedangas, etc. And the chart is indeed correct. I replied to her. And I owe to her that she opened my eyes, and that is how it is. Anything which is wrongly said, it needs to be corrected. Regarding Max Muller visiting India, apparently which is not there. But he was a proponent of India and its culture. Yeah, go ahead.
But it's surprising why he did not visit India. Why was he only?
I don't know. I was browsing through the Google pages. That's what I picked up. Earlier, my information was that he did visit India, and he developed a tremendous liking for India and its people, its culture, its places, the way we worship, the way we treat elders, and the way the rituals are performed very meticulously. All those things he was impressed, I believe. That's what information I had, with which I have said what I said. I stand corrected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nana.
Maybe it is true, Nana. We'll find that somewhere it will come up, because I'm sure at that time there was a lot of opposition against India as well, and people like Max Muller was never supported or promoted, probably.
Maybe. But he was a tremendous supporter of India and its culture. And to prove that, he has translated all by himself some of the scriptures, including Rigveda, Manusmriti, and several other scriptural texts, I believe. Yeah, go forward, Brahmara.
Okay. Hari Om. If you remove causes for rebirth, moksha being nitya will automatically take place. The Purva Mimamsaka's neat plan. By doing nitya karma, you can avoid pratyavaya. The Mimamsaka has an answer for that. His contention is that being eternal, there is no need to create moksha. Therefore, karma need not produce moksha. Then, why should we do karma? He has a clean, neat plan for that. This is how you become liberated. Now, you are bound to samsara by karma. We also accept that. You are born again and again only because of karma. Therefore, we have to get rid of this karma. How? First of all, the daily duties that are enjoined by the Veda have to be done. That will not produce any result, but it will avoid any pratyavaya dosha, the fault of omission, so that one type of karma phala is partly taken care of. By avoiding prohibited karmas, future undesirable births are avoided. Secondly, there is something that is not to be done. All the karmas that the Veda prohibits, the pratisiddha karmas, are avoided. In that way, there is no gain of an undesirable body. Look at this. You do all the do's and avoid the results that would be produced if you did not do them. And you avoid all the don'ts, avoiding the results you would incur if you did them. In this way, all accumulation of papa karma is avoided. By avoiding kamya karmas, future desirable births are avoided. Thirdly, he says, do not do the enjoined karmas that are meant to produce punya, the kamya karmas like ishtapurti. There are varieties of karmas enjoined by the Veda to produce punya. By doing them, you are going to gather a lot of punya. And if you have punya, what will happen? You will have to take another birth to enjoy it. Therefore, avoid the kamya karmas, the rituals and other karmas which are meant to produce punya. In that way, you will avoid obtaining a birth in a desirable body. You do not do any prayer, ritual, etc. for the purpose of attaining a desired end, and therefore you have no results of punya karma to experience. Having avoided all the karmas that produce papas and also all the karmas that produce punya, there is no occasion for you to assume another body and take another birth. Then, if we were to ask him, what about the karma that is already begun, prarabdha karma, because of which this body is here? He has a ready answer. The prarabdha karma is exhausted in this life by upabhoga. For that, he says that when the karma that is already begun to fructify in obtaining the physical body that you have now is exhausted, there will be no further birth. Every day, in every experience, you are experiencing the results of prarabdha karma. When the last vestige of the prarabdha karma is expended by going through the varieties of experiences it has caused, that is, when this physical body has fallen, there is no cause for the creation of another body. Why is there no cause? Because there is no karma. You have taken care of all of it. All the prarabdha karma is exhausted. You do all the obligatory nitya naimittika karma and avoid all the prohibited pratisiddha karma, like telling lies or causing injury, and therefore papa is not incurred. You do not do the karmas that will produce punya, the kamya karma, and therefore punya is not gathered. How can you avoid kamya karmas? This is possible because you do not have any longing for anything. You want only moksha. Thus, moksha is gained without any effort. Thus, all karma is taken care of, and karma being the cause of birth, there is nothing to precipitate further birth. You simply remain with yourself because karma is not there. The self, Atma, can no longer be bound. It is free from samsara. Only if you assume a body, there is samsara. And there can be no further body because there is no cause for it, no karma. The self, Atma, is eternal, and you remain as Atma alone. There is no birth at all for you. That is called moksha, and it is accomplished without any effort. It is not produced. Objection by Shankara. What about the sanchita karmas standing in one's account? If that is his argument, we have one or two questions to ask here. Let us accept his plan for the time being. Still, he is accepting karma, and in accepting the karma model, he should accept it totally. It should be logical. Since he is accepting prarabdha karma, we have to ask, when did he get this prarabdha karma that accounts for this body and is in the process of being unfolded day after day? If he says in his previous life or lives, we have to ask how many previous lives he had. Once you accept previous, you are in trouble. How did you get the previous life? Because of previous lives. There is no beginning for this. There is an infinite number of previous births. If there are infinite, how much karma have you collected? An infinite amount. Even if you took a birth only once in every kalpa, the karmas would be infinite in number because there are an infinite number of kalpas. Are all
Hari
of the
Om,
infinite?
Hari Om. What is
Yes,
a kalpa if you people recollect?
it is the day of Brahmaji.
Very right. And what is the night of Brahmaji called?
Uh,
Pralaya.
Pralaya, yeah.
Pralaya. Kalpa is the daytime of Brahmaji, and Pralaya is the night time of Brahmaji. Okay.
Are all of the infinite number of karmas going to be exhausted in this body? No. Even if it lives 100 years, it is impossible. If the karmas of an individual are infinite, the possibilities of the type of karma are also infinite. Every individual must have every form of karma necessary to order every type of body, from a virus onwards to the various incarnations, both on this planet and elsewhere also. Here we know certain life forms, the plant life, the animal life, and the human life. But there will be other planets where there will be better life forms possible. There may be angels living side by side with human beings. They will have their own language and various types of wings and so on. One will be red-nosed angel, another white-nosed angel, and another a blue-eyed angel. One may have golden plumes, another silver, and then again, some angels' toes touch the ground, while some angels' toes do not touch the ground at all. Thus, infinite possibilities must be there in everybody's infinite sanchita karma. How are you going to exhaust all those karmas in this one miserable birth? You cannot. Even in a given human body, you do not go through all the experiences that a human being is capable of. It is only a set of experiences you go through. If you are born a Chinese in China or a Russian in Russia, the experiences are different. If you are born in one place, then you are not going to have all the experiences of other places, because every individual has infinite karmas. All possible experiences cannot be had in any given birth. In this incarnation, one can exhaust only one set of karmas, not more than that. The prarabdha karma that we experience here is not even the tip of the iceberg. Therefore, Shankara raises his objection here. There is no exhaustion of karma. Why? Because it is not possible in this one birth to experience the results of karma that has not yet begun to fructify. The karmas that were done in the countless births that had gone before should result in the gain of heaven, hell, and many other experiences. Those results have not yet begun to fructify and therefore cannot be experienced. They remain in storage and are yet to manifest. Since it is not possible to experience them, there is no possibility of exhaustion of karma. The exhaustion of karma is only accepted provisionally. Later we will drop it. But for now, for the sake of argument, we will go with it. We do not accept that doing nitya karmas will not produce results, but we go along with that for now. Even if we are able to exhaust prarabdha karma, what about the karma accumulated in previous births, sanchita karma? This is what happens in an animal's life. A water buffalo does the nitya karma and does not commit any transgressions at all. Daily, he goes to the pond and he does not eat meat, etc. He eats only grass. His prarabdha karma gets exhausted, and therefore, after being a water buffalo, he will gain moksha. We cannot accept this. Why not? Because his sanchita karma remains. It is the same here. Infinite karmas will be standing in your account. How are you going to exhaust them? Even though you try to avoid all new karmas in this birth, still the old karmas standing in your account have to fructify. And for that, we do not know how many births you require. Moreover, it is not possible to avoid kamya karmas. Also, it is impossible not to acquire new karmas. When you are a doer, karta, you will definitely acquire new karma. How are you going to avoid the raga dveshas that impel you to do karma? It is a pipe dream. There is no chance for you to get moksha, if this is your argument. Purva Mimamsaka's reply. The dukkha suffered by doing nitya karma exhausts the sanchita karma. The Purva Mimamsaka has an answer for this. Daily you have to do karma. If you do not do it, you will incur sin. When you do it, it does not produce any result, but it does produce dukkha. You have to get up early in the morning. You have to gather all the ingredients for the ritual, light the fire, sit before the fire, and say all the proper prayers and make the proper offerings. It implies a lot of pain, a lot of work. In experiencing that pain, it is possible to exhaust all the pain that is the result of the papa karmas standing in your account, the sanchita karma. Why not? Or doing nitya karma is like doing prayaschitta karma. Or the Purva Mimamsaka says that doing your daily and occasionally enjoined karma, nitya naimitika karma, is like prayaschitta karma, expiatory karma. Prayaschitta karma is an antidote that is meant to neutralize the results of previous wrong actions. We do this all the time. In cooking, if there is too much salt, we add some more vegetables to throw in some flour. This is called prayaschitta karma. If there is any undesirable result, we neutralize it by doing something else. To neutralize the result of a wrong action, we do an expiatory action, an action that is meant to neutralize that undesirable result. In the Veda, we have plenty of prayaschitta karmas. In the Christian tradition, there is confession and the penance done to neutralize the confessed actions. It is also a prayaschitta karma. The Veda has prayaschitta karma for all kinds of wrong karmas. If you really have shraddha about punya and papa, and you look into this prayaschitta karma, you will never do a wrong action. The prayaschitta karma is always more severe than what you gain by doing the wrong action. Just to avoid the prayaschitta karma, you have to avoid all these wrong actions. Taking it a step further, the Purva Mimamsaka says that the daily prayers and rituals we do, like Agnihotra, are like prayaschitta karma, which are done as an antidote for all our wrong actions. Prayaschitta karmas are those that are enjoined by the Dharma Shastra to neutralize the negative effects of some negative karma one did. The Purva Mimamsaka's argument here is like how prayaschitta neutralizes the negative effects of previous karma. Doing nitya karma will also neutralize the anarabdha papa karma standing in our account. We also say in the sankalpa before a ritual, I will do this for the removal of all my accumulated impurities. Mama upatta samasta durita kshayartham aham idam karishye. We declare this to the Lord, and it also serves as an auto-suggestion. In order to eliminate all the papas that I have gathered, I perform this karma. This includes old papas that are fructifying in this life because of things that were done in other births, and papas that have been done in this birth also. I perform this karma to neutralize all of them. The daily prayers that I offer are meant only to exhaust all the papas standing in my account. It is not to produce any new result, only to clear the old account. Summary of the Purva Mimamsaka's neat plan. The whole argument of the Purva Mimamsaka is based on the assumption that the karma that I do now will neutralize the result of old karma, or that the old karmas are exhausted through the pain that is involved while performing these nitya karmas. Either way you take it, it does not matter for him. The old karmas are eliminated. The karma because of which this body has come into being will get exhausted by daily experiences. If you have a headache, one papa is gone. Daily experiences of pain and pleasure will take care of all the punya and papa. You need not do anything to exhaust this prarabdha karma. Just keep living and it will get exhausted. But you have to be very careful that you do not do any wrong actions or any action that will produce punya. By not doing any action that will produce an unseen result that has to be experienced at some time in the future, and doing actions to neutralize papas that have been accumulated in the past, you will get moksha, kaivalya, without any effort. The karma that brought this body into being gets exhausted just by living. And when the body dies, the prarabdha karma is completely gone. The old karmas are cancelled by the daily and occasional rites, nitya naimitika karmas. And no new karmas are gathered because no prohibited actions, prayaschitta karmas, and no desire prompted actions, kamya karmas, are done. Therefore, there is no possibility of any more births. And this is moksha. This is the contention of the Purva Mimamsaka. Shankara's negation of the whole argument. All Shastra Pramanas say that there is no way for moksha other than jnana. This is all very interesting, but it is not tenable. And there is no basis for it. Which Shruti talks like this? Is there any means of knowledge pramana for all this? On the contrary, the Shastra says, having known that he goes beyond death, there is no other way. Tam eva viditva atimrityam eti. Knowing that Brahman is oneself, pratyagatma, one goes beyond death, meaning one gets out of this samsara. Other than knowing this, there is no other path for moksha. Na anya pantha vidyate ayanaya. This has to be said because there will always be people who conclude that there is more than one way. The idea that there are four paths is just imagination, as we have seen. In fact, some say that there are as many paths for moksha as there are human beings. This may be true with reference to religions and the aims of religions too, but not with reference to moksha. Purification of the mind, antakarana shuddhi, which is exactly what we are aiming at too, can be accomplished by various means. And so each one can follow his or her own particular religious form. Even in the same religion, one person will do some of the prayers and rituals and another will do others. You can always choose what is suitable to you. For moksha, however, this is not the case. What was already unfolded as Brahman earlier in the statement is the Purusha Sukta. In the Purusha Sukta, as all this, idam sarvam, what existed before, what will come later, and what is now, yad bhutam, yaccha bhavyam, has to be known as that which obtains in your heart, in your mind as the Atma. But it is not the Atma that is enclosed in this body, for all the heads are its head, all the feet are its feet, all the hands its hands. Knowing that one crosses death, he gains moksha. Why is there no other way? Because moksha is the opposite of bondage. If bondage is real, you cannot remove it, because we define what is real as something that cannot be removed. If the Atma is bound and the bondage is real, you cannot remove it. If it is unreal, if it does not exist, you need not remove it. If you think it exists, then you have to remove it. And that removal can only be by knowledge. If you think you are bound, that thinking has to go. And it can only go by knowing. Stopping the thinking does not work. That is anesthesia. We have to understand that the thinking is wrong by understanding that Atma is Brahman. Therefore, the Shruti says that there is no other path for this. Na anya pantha vidyate. Other than vidya, knowledge, there is no way for moksha. Not only does one Shruti say this, but many Shrutis do. It is said that moksha is as impossible for one who does not know Atma as it is to wrap oneself with akasha, like a skin around the body. I will read this again. It is said that moksha is as impossible for one who does not know Atma as it is to wrap oneself with akasha, like a skin around the body. How will you do that? It is not possible. Thus, quoting this verse from the Shruti, Shankara says that it is just as impossible for the one who does not know the Atma to gain moksha. Not knowing the Atma, you will only gain sorrow and remain in samsara. The idea is that you can gain moksha without knowing Atma only when you can clothe yourself with space. In other words, it is not possible. Knowledge alone liberates. Not only that, the Puranas and Smritis also say one gains moksha by knowledge. By saying it in two ways, there is no room for misunderstanding. There is no moksha without knowledge, and by knowledge alone, moksha is gained. If he had said just that moksha is gained by knowledge, it may also allow moksha to be gained by karma. But then he says that by knowledge alone there is moksha, and without knowledge there is no moksha. How can there be any doubt here?
Hari Om, I suppose that para is understood. By knowledge alone is there moksha. He did not say by knowledge moksha is there. By knowledge alone. That means what? All other things are excluded. Other than knowledge, like karma, everything else is excluded. That should be understood. Yeah. And important thing here is the Purva Mimamsaka, even though he is putting forward his argumentation, he believes in the Shruti 100%. And the Shruti includes the Upanishads also. He grants that it is true, what is said is true. That is the basis of Shankara's argument. If you say Shruti, you have got the Astikya Buddhi in Shruti. If you say Shruti Vakya must be respected and it must be adhered to. This is what the Shruti says. Na anya pantha vijate ayanaya. This they have to accept. They will be spellbound with this kind of an argument. Yes, please.
Even accepting that Nitya Karma removes all papas, Sanchita Punya cannot be neutralized.
Hari Om Brahmara.
Yes,
One
Nana.
thing I thought I'll alert you.
Huh.
Unlike your normal self,
Right?
today, once in a while, the last few words of what you are reading,
Am I swallowing?
they are becoming slightly light.
Okay, I will make sure I avoid.
Unlike yourself.
Yeah.
Once in a while. Just take care.
Okay. Still, there is another problem. Accepting for the time being that all the papa karma can be exhausted by the pain involved in doing obligatory karmas, nitya naimittika karmas, only the papa karmas standing in your account is removed. What about the punya karma? That is also infinite. Even assuming that the nitya karma is an antidote for the results of all the wrong actions that were done, which is a big assumption, the punya will be standing there unaccounted for. Just as there are infinite papa in the sanchita karma yet to be exhausted, there are also infinite punya waiting to fructify. They cannot be neutralized by doing nitya karma. If at all nitya karmas can neutralize anything, they can neutralize only papa and not punya. It has to express itself, and therefore, being not exhausted will precipitate another birth. You will have to be born in Texas in the family of a tycoon, and even that will not take care of all the punya. This punya will be expressed. It has to be encashed. Even the possibility of neutralizing all the papa karmas by obligatory nitya karmas was accepted only provisionally. That also is not tenable. For how long can one do these karmas? 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, 80 years? How can that neutralize all the papa that has been gathered in an infinite number of births? There is no way of neutralizing all of them with a finite number of actions. The exhaustion of punya, the results of which have not yet begun to fructify, is not possible in this birth either. Since they cannot be experienced now, there has to be another birth. Just as the exhaustion of previously gathered papa that has not begun to fructify is impossible, so is the exhaustion of previously gathered punya that has not begun to fructify. Their exhaustion is not possible without assuming another body, and therefore moksha is not possible. Except through jnana, it is impossible to remove raga, dveshas and moha, the cause of dharma and adharma. There is another problem. According to him, I will not do any desire-based action, kamya karma or prohibited karma, prayaschitta karma, and do only obligatory actions, nitya naimittika karma. In other words, I will not do any wrong actions, adharma, or meritorious actions, dharma. This is not possible. What is the cause for dharma and adharma? Why do I do these karmas? I do a wrong karma because I want a given result, and I cannot get it by following the right means. If I do, I have to wait for 25 years, and therefore I take a shortcut, which compromises dharma. Or I hate someone, and therefore I harm him. Both longing, raga, and aversion, dvesha, are the cause for adharma. Then there are false notions like insecurity and the problem of giving something more value than it has. Shobhanadhyasa, the idea that something or the other is going to solve my old problems is delusion, moha, and is the basis for raga dveshas, which in turn are the basis for right and wrong actions. In other words, kamya karma and pratisiddha karma. How can they be avoided when these raga dveshas and moha have not gone? How will they go? The Purva Mimamsaka says that knowledge is not necessary, karma is enough. But how will delusion, moha, go except by knowing that the self Atma as complete Purna? I cannot negate moha unless I know what I am. Without knowing Atma, my insecurity will always be there, and therefore fear will be there, and naturally, because of that, raga dveshas. Because of them, I will do right and wrong actions. Therefore, this idea of not doing kamya karmas or pratisiddha karmas is merely an empty statement. I cannot accomplish that without knowing myself to be full, purna. Then alone can I avoid kamya karmas and prohibited karmas. Since the cause for these right and wrong actions, dharma, adharma, cannot be removed without self-knowledge, the negation of punya and papa is not possible. Therefore, there is no moksha without knowledge. Shrutis and Smritis talk of punya as phala for nitya karma. Further, it was said that by doing nitya karma, no result is produced. That also is not true. Those who do those karmas have the result of heaven, swarga. There are enough Shruti and Smriti statements to confirm this. And there is even a rule that whenever there is Shruti injunction to do a karma and the result is not specifically mentioned, that karma should be understood to result in a better birth. Punya loka phala. The Smriti also says that those who are following the Varna and Ashrama Dharma, doing exactly what is to be done according to their situation in life, will also gain better lives, Punya Loka. There is no karma enjoined by the Shruti, which does not have Punya as its result. The Shruti will not ask you to do it if there is no result. It is not that if you do not do it, there will be a negative result. Akarane pratyavayaha. But when it is done, it has a positive result called punya. Though there is no direct fault incurred, it is true that when you do not do your daily duties, you may be doing the wrong things. If you do not do the right action, it will not take time for you to do the wrong action. Therefore, you have to keep doing what is right in order to avoid what is wrong. Otherwise, there is laziness, which is the breeding ground for all crimes. Now, by avoiding all papa karmas and doing only nitya naimitika karmas, this person is under the impression that he is not getting any result. After death, do you know what will happen? All the devatas of those nitya karmas will be ushering him into heaven. He may protest that he wanted moksha and not heaven, but he will have to go, because nitya karma, being a karma, will surely produce a result. How can you do a karma without causing a result? You cannot drop a stone in a pond without creating a ripple. You have to enjoy that karma phala. There is no way, no other way of avoiding it except one. What is that? Knowing that Atma, the self, is not an agent, a karta. Then one is free of all karma phala. The model of karma and the adhyaropa apavada method. By this, the whole model is destroyed. This is called deliberate superimposition and negation. Adhyaropa apavada. You first...
I request all of you to be very attentive here. This adhyaropa apavada, that is, something is deliberately superimposed, and the Shastra takes you up to a point and says this is not true, and what is superimposed by me is faulty. So I am negating that superimposition. So whatever result you have gained because of superimposition is not there now. That is the apavada. Be attentive, that's all. It's a simple thing to understand.
Yeah. You first say that Atma is a doer, karta, and therefore gathers a lot of karma, both punya and papa. He is a samsari and has to reap the result of all these punyas, papas by taking births in different lokas. Then at the end of it, you say that in fact, Atma was never born, never did anything, never performed any action. Knowing that, you are free from all karmas. The fire of knowledge burns all the karma to ashes. Jnanagnihi bhasmasat kurute. This is possible because there are all standing in the name of Mr. So-and-so, the agent karta. And once the karta is gone, there is no karma to be accounted for. This is called adhyaropa apavada. The model of karma has its own logic and it is believable, but it is only a model and we are not stuck with it. In the end, we dismiss the whole thing. The agency, kartritva, is dismissed and thereby all karma, including the sanchita karma, is gone. All karmas are gone. Even the prarabdha karma is gone because from the standpoint of Atma, there is no prarabdha karma. From the standpoint of the body, there is prarabdha karma, but Atma does not have any body. It is Satchit Ananda Brahma and therefore has no karma at any time. Neither what was accumulated in past lives, Sanchita karma, nor what was accumulated in this life, Agami karma. It is the very basis, adhishtana of all karma. not affected by any karma at any time. Even doing actions, Atma does not perform any action. Kurvannapi na karoti. Hearing, it does not hear. Shrunvannapi na shrunoti. Seeing, it does not see. Pashyannapi na pashyati. Atma sees everything, but can be seen by no one. This is the nature of the Atma. It performs no action, and knowing that is the only way to get rid of karma.
Hari Om. Earlier, I think Srimati Garg asked a question. Whether these paras have given her the answer for the question?
Simi, I think you had asked whether it's only knowledge, and so what about karma, right?
Yeah. Yes.
You got your answer, madam?
Yeah, I got it. Thank you,
Okay.
Nanaji.
Thank you.
Restatement of the contention of the Purva Pakshi. No phala is told in the Shruti for Nitya karmas. They are the result of previous papa. They are also ordained for the sake of livelihood. Shankara now restates here what was said by the Purva Mimamsaka, the Karmatha, with reference to the Nitya karmas. The Purva Mimamsaka says that there is no phala mentioned in the Veda for Nitya karma. Ashrutatvat. Because there is lot of effort and pain involved in doing the Nitya karmas, they are the result of fructification of the previous papa, and apart from their own essential nature of being the difficult karmas to be performed, they have no other phala. And also, they are ordained by the Veda for the different varnas as karmas that can be performed for livelihood. Jivanadinimitte cha vidanat. It is said in the Veda that one has to perform certain rituals every day. Those are called Nitya karmas. For instance, it is said that the following karmas are considered to be the Nitya karmas for a Brahmana. They are Yajna and Yajana Adhyayana and Adhyapana, Dana and Pratigraha. Yajna is performing rituals like Agnihotra, etc., or its modern day equivalents like Sandhya Vandana and other forms of worship daily. Yajana is making someone else do the rituals, that is officiating in a ritual performed by someone else. Adhyayana is studying his own shakha of the Veda completely along with its subsidiaries. And Adhyapana is teaching the Veda every day. Dana is giving away in charity whatever he has in excess of what he needs for his simple life. He is expected to share whatever he has and not hoard things. This is the value of aparigraha. Pratigraha, share whatever he has and not hold things. This is the value of aparigraha. Oh, Pratigraha is receiving money and other wealth from kings, etc., as dakshina or gifts. Now, because dana is also a vihita karma and aparigraha is value, usually whenever a large wealth is available to a brahmana, he will perform a large yajna and distribute the wealth as dakshina. These are the three pairs of Nitya karmas mentioned for a Brahmana. Similarly, there are certain duties that are mentioned for all the castes, Varnas. In general, we can say that certain duties are to be performed, some of them are prayers or in the form of rituals. These are called Nitya karmas. Then, on certain occasions, there are certain karmas, rituals that are to be performed, and they are called Naimitika karmas. Both are enjoined by the Veda. While enjoining these karmas, the Veda does not mention any particular result for them. Generally, for every ritual, a particular result is mentioned. The one who wants heaven must perform a particular ritual for that. Swarga kama jyotishtomena yajate. Yajeta. Or the one who wants a son should perform a putra kameshti ritual. But when it comes to the nitya naimitika karmas, the Veda does not mention any result at all. From that, the Purva Mimamsaka extrapolates his stand. Since the result is not mentioned for nitya karmas, they do not produce any result. Then, why should anyone do them? They are enjoined by the Veda, and therefore they have got to be performed. Now, anything that you have got to do that is mandated implies pain. That is why people are lazy. Getting up and doing things is not easy. Here, every day the Brahmana has to get up early in the morning before the sun rises, which itself is a problem, and then has to do the karma, which takes about an hour. Therefore, there is pain involved because effort is involved. This is an ingenious presumption made just because the Veda does not mention the result for the Nitya karmas. Even though these arguments do not have any immediate bearing on our lives, it is nice to know exactly the thinking involved because in the process we develop a discipline of thinking. Since the Veda does not mention any result and at the same time enjoins these karmas, they must have an unknown result. If you are doing it and there is no result except the pain of doing, that pain itself must be a kind of a payment. Some past sin is paid off by this kind of karma. An intelligent man, whenever he goes through a painful experience, accepts it happily because some papa is exhausted. Here, the results of the Nitya karma being in the form of pain are the result of the papa one did before. This is not what the Shastra really says. It is an argument of an opponent. We analyze these different points of view just to understand what the Shastra is saying. Just as boxers have a sparring partner, similarly here, we have an opponent just to sharpen our understanding. His view is that since this Nitya karma is in the form of pain, it is the result of whatever papa was done before. Now, you are experiencing the pain of it. But these Nitya karmas have no result other than what is experienced in doing them. That is, they have no unseen result, adrishta phala. We are not talking about the visible result, drishta phala, but the unseen punya that may occur from doing a karma enjoined by the Veda. According to him, there is no punya for a Nitya karma because the result is not mentioned by the Shruti. Further, there is another reason why there is no other result. These are things that are to be done just to live your life, like breathing. There is no particular result for that except living. If you ask me, what do you accomplish by breathing? What will I say? I will say, just to live. To have my life, I must breathe. There is no result except living. When I do not breathe, I do not live. Breathing does not have a special result. A discipline of breathing like pranayama can result in a cerebral hemorrhage or tranquility, depending on how you do it. But simple breathing does not have any result in life. Living implies breathing. Similarly, Nitya karma is something that is implied in living. One has got to do it, and there is no way of escaping it because it is enjoined by the Shruti. Those who have Shraddha and the Shruti are supposed to perform these karmas. They are necessarily done because the person is alive. Thus, the Purva Mimamsaka says that the Nitya karmas do not have any phala. They are the result of the previous papa, and also they have been ordained as the karma one has to do to just keep the life going according to his varna and ashrama. This is his argument. The
Hari Om.
Sanchita. Yes, Nana.
Shall I take over, Brahmana?
Okay, Nana.
Okay. Relax for some time afterwards while I'll
Yeah.
request again.
Yeah.
The Sanchita karma that are yet to fructify cannot give you result in this janma. Further, all papas cannot give the same type of pain. Now the counter argument comes. No, this is not true. Why? Shankara gives two reasons. If the pain that is involved in doing these nitya karmas is the result of the wrong things done before, it is a result which has come to fructify. Therefore, accepting that it is a result, the maximum it can be is a result of the prarabdha karma. It is not the result of the karma that has not yet begun. Anarabdha karma phala. Otherwise, there would be no difference between prarabdha karma and sanchita karma. It's not right to say that the karma phalas that have not begun to fructify at the time of death in the life in which they were done would begin to fructify in a life which is due to the fructification of some other yet set of prarabdha karma.
Nana, can you just read this last sentence one more time?
Okay. It is not right to say that the karma phalas that have not begun to fructify at the time of death in the life in which they were done would begin to fructify in a life which is due to the fructification of some other set of prarabdha karma. See, this is simple logic. Yukti, this is yukti, and this is also the anubhava, everybody's experience. We have seen before that there is a type of karma called sanchita, which is like a term deposit that has been accumulated and is standing in an account. Its results have not yet begun to fructify, and thus they are called anarabdha karma phalas. Anarabdha means that which has begun. Anarabdha means that which has not yet begun. Anarabdha karma phalas. This karma phalas can be twofold, punyam cha papam. Okay, that phala need not be punyam all the time. All the karmas cannot fructify in one particular incarnation. There is only one set of karmas that can be fulfilled in this particular life with this parentage, with this childhood, and so on. Those karmas which are in the process of getting unfolded, we call arabdha karmas or prarabdha karma. Prarabdha. Prak arabdha prarabdha. It has begun earlier. Earlier means what? Before even you are born, you have come with this deposit from the sanchita karma, which is the prarabdha karma. Prak arabdha karma, that is prarabdha karma. Accepting that the pain involved in nitya karma exhausts papa, which is a contention of the Purva Mimamsaka. It cannot be the papa that has not yet manifested. Secondly, in nitya karma, you have one type of effort, one type of pain. If that is the pain of all the papas, they must also be of only one type. But there are papas of many different natures. What about them? That is the papa that you have committed by telling a lie, the papa you have committed by murdering a person, the papa you have committed by adulteration, okay, as a businessman, the papa you have committed as a man, as the husband or the wife of a couple, you have been infidel. That is another kind of papa. What about them? Every painful experience is a result of the old papa, the durita, which is of different kinds. If you say that the pain involved in the performance of the nitya karma is the result of old papas, What about the pain involved in disease and various other problems that you face every day? There are many different types of pain. Suddenly, the stock goes down. The pain in this stock means the stock market. The pain in this has nothing to do with the pain that is involved in the daily ritual, etc. Then again, the tenant says, then again, where is that?
Yeah.
Uh,
Let me pull it up one second.
then, yeah, I got it here.
Yeah.
Then again, the tenant says he will not leave the house when the landlord wants to occupy. Why does he get this kind of a tenant? There can be a tenant who will leave, but this fellow will not. Why? There is some papa. Whoever it is a papa. The result are not always the same. Therefore, if you say that all the papas are exhausted by the pain of doing Nitya Karma, how do you explain the other types of pain that you have? It would be wonderful. If only had the type of pain involved in doing Nitya Karma, I would happily do this Nitya Karma if I would not have any other pain at all. See that argumentation. Shankara now takes up. That is, I will not have any other pain at all means I will be comforted by the stock market. No problem. Everybody will love me and everybody will adore me. There's no pain because of the lack of that, etc. Shankara now takes up the issue of the pain experienced in doing Nitya Karma being the result of faults incurred in a previous birth. It was said that the result of the papas is the pain which is involved in performing the daily rites, the Nitya Karmas. That is not tenable. Look at this. Here is a person who has lived his life performing all the daily karmas like Agnihotra and also some actions which are capable of producing pain. He has done some punya karma and some papa karma. At the time of death, what are the karmas that will give him the next birth? Not all of them. Only certain karmas will give a certain birth. For instance, the Agnihotra and other good karmas that he did will give him entry to heaven and a body appropriate for that. Now suppose he has that body, a Deva Sharira. What about the Papa karmas that he had done? They cannot be experienced in the same body. In one incarnation, the karmas that have not begun yet to fructify, the karmas that have not yet begun to fructify, the anarabdha karmas, which are standing in his account, cannot be enjoyed. They can only be enjoyed in another birth. One set of karmas orders only a given physical body. How true is that? His papas will not fructify in that birth. That gives him that body of a deva, because that body is meant only for pleasure. Where is that? And not pain. Therefore, the papas will have to remain suspended. They have to wait for their chance to express. It is not reasonable, Shankara says, that the result of a karma that has not yet begun to manifest would be experienced in a birth that has begun because of another set of karmas. Otherwise, what will happen? Supposing a person has faithfully performed his duties like Agnihotra, and because of which he gets a birth for the experience of heavenly enjoyment. The karmas he did were supposed to give him pure pleasure, and therefore he has come to heaven. The old papas that he has gathered should not come along with him. If all the papas also get exhausted there in the form of pain, there is heaven.
Where is heaven?
Where is heaven?
Where is
If all the papas also get exhausted there in the form of pain, where is heaven? Right? Swarga, what is hell? Naraka? That will not work even for the Purvamimamsaka, because according to him also, in Swarga, there is no result of Papa Karma, Durita Phala. But if this proposition is correct, it will not be possible to experience the results of Papa Karma that makes him gain the experience of hell in a birth that results from karma, like Agnihotra, which produces the result of heaven and an appropriate body thereafter. But this is not possible. It is not possible to experience both heaven and hell at the same time. Therefore, when a given set of karmas come to fructify, they alone will get exhausted in that given birth, and not all the unmanifest karmas. The other karmas that cannot be expressed in that situation will have to wait for another occasion, another incarnation, another birth. Look at the consistency of Shankara's arguments here. Whether he is considering a Jaina, a Bauddha, a Sankhya, a Vaiseshika, Nayayika, Shankara analyzes his entire vision consistently and answers it at every level. At one level, he dismisses it all as mithya very forgivingly. But within the model of karma itself, if there is some mistake that has to be pointed out, wherever there is fallacy, Shankara argues with intellectual enthusiasm. You can see that here. Repeatedly, he argues this issue, and every argument is important. There are many different types of pain and many different pains of producing, many different means of producing them. If they're all thought to be purely the results experienced in the practice of Nichya karmas, then what about other types of pain? There are the opposites like success and failure, that is pain. In the morning, you are okay, and in the evening, you are not. Yesterday was wonderful, but today is not as great, and tomorrow you may be miserable. There are daily ups and downs. Where is this? Yeah. Then there is the affliction of disease, etc. All these will have no cause at all. If all the papas get exhausted in the pain that is involved in performing the Nichya karma, it is not reasonable to say that they have no cause, nor is it possible to imagine that only the pain experienced in the practice of the Nichya karmas is the result of some previously done wrong action and not the pain of carrying stones on one's head, for example. That is hard labor. Every day a person cuts the stones and carries them on his head like a donkey. There is a lot of pain involved, and he does not want to do the job, but he has to do it. That pain, we can say, is born of some papa, either in this life or in the previous life. How can you say that only the pain of Nichya karma is the result of past papa and not these other forms of pain? Thus, we can see that the Purva Mimamsaka's argument is not valid at all. Therefore, Shankara says, you are saying something unconnected even to your own contention here by saying the pain involved in doing of the Nichya karmas is the result of papa accumulated in the previous birth, previous janmas. And then Shankara goes on to explain that. He says, what is accepted by everyone is that there can be no neutralization of karma phala that has not begun to fructify. That being so, what you're talking about is the exhaustion of those karma phala that have begun to fructify in this janma. That means you have to accept that all the pain that one experiences in this life is due to the papa that have begun to fructify already. Then it is not right to say the pain of doing the Nichya karmas alone are the result of papa accumulated in the previous janmas. What a beautiful argumentation. There are many more types of pains experienced by one in any one life. And also then the Veda would not have the need to enjoin Nichya karmas because they would be helplessly enjoyed by one as the result of previous papa. Later on, Shankara talks about this further. We shall see that later. Both
I'll take
punya.
over.
Huh?
I'll take over.
Okay.
Take a break.
Nanaji,
Yes,
can
please.
so is this understanding correct that I mean, I don't know if it's a very childish way of thinking, but this is what I get. that to enjoy your punya karmas, you need a body that is suitable for that, to live in heaven. And to enjoy your papa, not enjoy, to go through your papa karmas, you will get a body that is conducive to live in Naraka. So if you have got a human body, it's only through human body you enjoy both punya and papa. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It
Thank
is
you.
a mixture of punya and papa. The prarabdha with which we were all born is a mixture of punyam cha papam. If it is entirely papam, it would be an animal janma, I believe. If it is entirely punyam, it would be a deva janma.
Okay.
This manusha janma is a mixture of both. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nanaj.
Thank you.
Both punya and antakarna shuddhi are the results of nitya karma. Now, let us complete the vision here before we proceed. The nitya karma is not enjoined by the Shastra for neutralizing the effects of wrong deeds done in the past, either in this life or previously. It does produce a result, punya, that can lead you to heaven. But if the nitya karma is done for antakarna shuddhi, it can neutralize the results of past wrong actions. Why does the Shruti not mention a result? It wants you to do the nitya karma for the purification of your mind. It is something like taking a shower. We need not talk about saying you should take a daily shower. It is good for you. It is a thing to be done. Similarly, daily prayer is also a thing to be done. Every day, we pick up enough raga dveshas to make it necessary. Daily prayer, etc., takes care of all our hurt and anger and so on. Otherwise, our whole personality develops edges and we are not the same simple person we were when we were young and innocent. When you are born, you are absolutely innocent. Then you keep growing until the body has grown into adulthood and the mind is more and more informed and even highly educated. Then you should be a happy person, a simple, uncomplicated person. But that is not so. We develop a personality. Certain things we cannot stand. Certain other things alone we can accept. Then we develop complexes, all kinds of notions. Why? It is all because of lack of antakarna shuddhi. Every day we pick up all kinds of impurities and they have to be taken care of. Otherwise, it is something like rainwater hitting the ground. It is clean water until it reaches the ground. Before it touches the ground, you can collect it in a vessel and can live on it. It is absolutely clean. Similarly, when a child comes into this world, he or she is clean, absolutely innocent. That is why everybody likes babies. Whose ever baby it is, whose ever the baby is, whether it is the baby of ignorant parents from a slum or the baby of a great scientist, it is the same. Both are innocent. The mathematician's baby does not come with calculus inside. Then what happens? The child grows. That is fine. He must grow, but not at the cost of innocence, not at the cost of purity. Originally, there was no scheming, no manipulating, and no complexes. The child was pure and simple and innocent. But then it faces difficult situations, circumstances, and picks up fears, anxieties, and all sorts of problems. What can we do about it? As parents, we should build in them a value for prayer and prayerful attitudes. Then, when the time comes, they can understand what is prayer. And when they pray, they can neutralize all these problems that the mind picks up. That is why in the 8th or 9th year, the child is initiated into mantra japa. As the child grows, the prayer is understood better and thereby all the raga, dveshas, fears, etc. are neutralized. Just as the body has to be showered daily, the mind also has to be cleaned every day. Daily showering is a thing to be done. And similarly, daily prayer is a thing to be done. Therefore, the Shastra does not mention the result of daily enjoined karmas. That does not mean there is no result. It does produce punya, but it is also meant for neutralizing the duritas. That is why we make the following statement before beginning any ritual or prayer. We say, Mama upatta samasta durita kshayartham aham idam karishye. I am doing this action for the sake of exhaustion of the results of all my wrong actions. Prayer can remove the obstacles caused by our papas. I do not know whether these were gathered by me in this life or in the previous ones, but they are fructifying in the form of pain and in the form of impediments to my pursuits. Every human body is a mixture, mishra, of punya and papa. That is why we do not win all the time, and we need not win. But daily prayer keeps the durita under check. It does not allow new durita to come, and it neutralizes old duritas. Thereby, day to day, my mind is clean and I am ready to face all situations. Because of the prayer, what would cost me my neck costs me only my crown. This is what happened to Arjuna. When the Nagastra was coming to his neck, Krishna pressed the chariot into the ground so that the Astra missed Arjuna's neck and removed only his crown, because Arjuna had surrendered to him. Of course, he did not press it sufficiently so that the Nagastra would go above Arjuna's crown, because Krishna also knows that the prayer's efficacy is only that much, only a few inches. What came to his neck went with his crown. That is the result of prayer. People often say, I prayed, but nothing happened. If you had not prayed, you should see what would have happened. In 1962, 8 planets came to Capricorn at the same time. 8 planets never gather like this, and astrologers all over the world predicted that it was not good for the world. They were waiting for something bad to happen. In India, they do not wait. Do you know what they did? They began doing rituals in every village, in every temple, to ward off the malefic effect of this configuration of the planets. So many rituals were performed and nothing happened. Afterwards, there was a complaint that so much money had been spent and nothing happened. But we can also say that because these rituals were done, nothing bad had happened. We spent so much money and avoided a calamity. It saved us in India and the whole world. It all depends on your way of looking at your effort. But Nana, here, how can what a group of people do create an effect for everybody else? How is that samishti taken care of when only a select few are doing the ritual?
Because the Ashtagraha Kotami is not meant for any localized portion of the earth. It was meant for the entire earth. That is how the entire earth populace, no matter in which country people belonged, that has been kind of saved. The durita of the Ashtagraha Kotami would be felt throughout the world, not just in India. Though the rituals you have performed in India prayed to the Lord to ward off the ill effects of this Ashtagraha Kotami, that prayer was kind of honored, and the entire world was protected. It is the way you look at it, like what Swamiji said. It saved us in India and the whole world. It all depends on the way you look at it. Look at your effort.
Correct. My question is if you have done some wrong deed or right deed, you are the one, you are the Asami who experiences the punya or papa. But here, I just want to understand how, supposing there is a ritual yajna that is being done by a set of people, some brahmanas are doing that ritual. Shouldn't, by logic, the papa, that is the punya that is accrued, go only to those that are performing it? How come everybody else around who's not doing the ritual are also experiencing the effect of the punya?
What is the aim of this ritual, this particular ritual done in 1962? With what end result expected was the ritual done? The end result is what? Warding off the evil influences of that Ashtagraha Kotame.
Okay, now I
The
understand.
evil influence is kind of all encompassing the entire world.
Got it.
That is warded off.
Okay.
You have not prayed for protecting your own village and community. You have prayed to the Lord, Ketaya, to protect us. Us means you have prayed as a citizen of the world, not as a citizen of just one place in this country. As a citizen of the world, you have prayed. And Ketaya had to, because he is the karma phaladata. He has made the laws, and then you have prayed. The prayer must be having some effect. That effect was warding off the evil influences of that Kotami. That's how I look at it.
Okay, got it.
Okay, right.
The idea that not doing something will create papa is wrong.
Yep.
If not doing produces a result, why should I do anything? And which non-doing produces which result?
Yeah, are you asking or reading?
I'm reading.
Okay.
I started reading. I will read again. The idea that not doing something, it saved us in India and the whole world. It all depends on your way of looking at your effort.
Yeah.
The idea that not doing something will create papa is wrong. If not doing produces a result, why should I do anything? And which non-doing produces which result? Not doing a karma enjoined by the Veda will not produce any result. But by not doing it, I will let the duritas take over my life, and therefore I will have problems. Doing the nitya karmas will avoid all those problems. That is why there is an expression like akarane pratyavaya in the Shastra. But it is not meant as it has been interpreted here by the Purva Mimamsaka. It is meant to keep the mind clean. The body can be showered, but the mind cannot be cleansed by water. Na varina shuddhyate antaratma. What detergents will you use to clean your mind? You cannot open your skull and spray some detergent. The mind is not a hardware, but pure software. Normally, you have to introduce a program to remove all the bugs. What are the bugs? All are papas in the form of raga dveshas. The daily prayers, nitya karmas, are meant for removing them alone. Shankara is going to talk about this later. If the very effort of doing nitya karma is the result of papa, why should Veda enjoin it?
Hari Om.
Yes,
I think we have time only for this para.
Okay.
Okay.
And there is another problem. The Purva Mimamsaka says that because the nitya karmas do not have any result, the very effort of doing them is the result. This is not true because the Shastra clearly enjoins that these are to be done. There is a statement in the Shruti that says that you must do the Sandhya Vandana every day. Aharahaha Sandhyam Upasita. Every morning at the rising of the sun and every evening at the setting of the sun, and then when the sun is right over your head, neither on the right nor on the left, at noon, certain prayers are to be done. Similarly, the Shruti says that every spring, the Jyotishtoma ritual is to be performed. Vasante vasante Jyotishtomena yajata. This is what they call a vidhi, which is what is enjoined by the Shastra. Now, if you say that the result of all your wrong karma is merely the effort involved in doing the karma and nothing else, all the vidhis become meaningless. If the practice of a nitya karma is itself a karma phala, why should the Shastra enjoin you to do it? Why should the Shastra ask you to do this karma if this is going to be your result? It is something like the body being born. Why was it born? The body was born because of karmas. It is not because the Shastra enjoined this body and therefore it was born. The Shruti need not enjoin us to do something unless it has a result in view. The very fact that the Shruti enjoins me to do the karma shows that it can be done or it need not be done by me. It must have a result. Only then will I be interested in doing that karma. But if the pain and effort in doing the karma is the result of all the papas which are fructifying through this body, the vidhi of the Shastra asking me to do the nitya karma will become useless. I will exhaust all those papas naturally because they have already begun. Arabdhavat, with the birth of this body. Therefore, the vidhi of the Shruti is not necessary. As you naturally exhaust your papas in the form of disease and so on, all duritas will be completely exhausted by you without your doing anything, because after all, it is the prarabdha karma phala you're talking about. What is enjoined by the Shastra is not the result, phala, but actions that are to be done by you. There is another fact to be considered here. How are you going to make the distinction between arabdha karma and anarabdha karma? How can you ever call the karma arabdha karma if there is no such thing as anarabdha karma? Only if there is something that has not yet begun to fructify can you call this karma that has begun as arabdha karma. And karma that has not begun to fructify, anarabdha karma, cannot be exhausted by karma that is now expressing in this life, arabdha karma, because it remains there unmanifest. Thus, going along with his argument, which is not to say that we agree with his argument, the vidhi of the Shastra ordaining nitya karmas is useless if all the duritas are exhausted in the pain you go through in living your life. That is why animals are not given any vidhis, neither can they follow them. Only a human being can follow a vidhi. A vidhi is a rule that is given to you so that you can follow it in order to get some result. All these karmas enjoined by the Veda can produce certain results. Moreover, the result should be something desirable. Only then is it an enjoined karma. There is no vidhi of the Shastra which is useless. It must have a result. If the nitya karma is the result of some old durita, the Shastra need not enjoin you to do it at all. You will naturally go through that pain. Why should Shastra talk about it? The Shastra does not say you should get a fever, you should get cancer. If there is a result according to your karma, you will get the result. Shruti need not talk about it. The Shruti tells you that if you have a problem, you can perform this karma and produce some result which can neutralize the duritas. It gives us the means, some helping hand, so that we can get rid of some of our duritas which are giving us problems. There are certain karmas that are to be avoided, and the Shruti says explicitly what they are. One should not do harm. Himsam na kuryat. One should not eat meat. Kalanjam na bhakshayit. One should not drink alcohol. Suram na pibet, and so on. There are certain karmas like these that are prohibited. Why? It is not just because these are things These things are not good for your health. Any informed nutritionist will tell us that. We do not require a Veda for it. What Shruti has to say is that such actions incur an unseen result, adrishta phala, a result that is not favorable, papa. The concern of Shruti in these injunctions is only with results that are not immediately seen, adrishta phala. Thus, it becomes a means of knowledge for us because we have no other means of knowing whether certain actions produce punya or papa. Our common sense may confirm what is right and wrong, but that is not the point here. Whenever the Shruti says that something is not to be done, we understand that doing it is going to attract papa. Moreover, if the only result of the Nitya karmas ordained by the Shruti is the pain involved in the effort of doing the Nitya karmas, then it is a drishta phala, seen and enjoyed immediately, like the pain that is experienced in doing heavy physical exercise or running a long distance, etc., which are not ordained by the Shruti. It is untenable to imagine that the pain involved is due to something else. That is, the anarabdha phalas standing in one's account.
I think we'll call it a day here, okay?
Yes.
Make a note of this page number.
Yeah, 422.
Right. Okay, good. Well read. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschet Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om, everybody.
Hari Om, Dhanyavad Nana ji.